The Lord is back. What's poppin', people? I'd actually forgot to record a video for this day, apparently. I hadn't planned on recording anything for today, but I am back from my little vacation. So we're gonna get actual uploads that are not from, 3 weeks ago now. And since, well, I forgot to actually prep this video, we will just be doing some little rambats, nice little chill live, have some fun. And just talk about, you know what? New NU. If y'all enjoy the content, of course, make sure to subscribe if not already subscribed, because, well, people to subscribe are cool. You want to be cool, don't you? So subscribe. Come as a member, too. I like extra support. You should like to support me extra. But, yeah, so the new NU so far. Now, I, of course, have not played much of it at all, but I have been able to actually see. Pardon me there. But I've been able to actually get to see some of the new NU just through, whatever teams I'm getting past just to stare at. Getting to see any replays that pop up as well from people posting them. And yeah, new NU, I must say, is certainly a metagame. So, we had the quick ban slate. Not even slate, this was like all TL quick ban stuff, because it was a means to just get rid of the most truly abhorrent mons we had in the format. So eternally, I talked about it, we looked at what the community was saying as well. I'm sorry, my throat is like, I don't know what's going on with it. But we took community feedback, and we decided, hey, Inteleon, Dreadnaw, Toxtricity, you are cringe, you are cancelled. And I think those are pretty uncontroversial decisions. I mean, Dreadnaw got Shell Smashed this gen, and realistically, there was maybe 1 or 2 checks to it if it was ever able to get that Shell Smash off. Now you can always say, oh, but, it's not like it could just always freely Shell Smash. Come on, guys, we're better than that. Well, no, we're not. Because the thing with Dreadnaw is, once it ever Shell Smashes, it doesn't really matter. What are your checks to it? It's like, you've got Toxicroak as an offensive check. And then defensively, I mean, I guess Houndstone, technically? And even then, Houndstone takes 1 million damage from, like, Terra Dark. So, not the best check ever. Definitely there are worse options, but Houndstone's not really stepping up forever. Not Toxtricity. Croak probably is just the best one, and that's a singular Pokemon. Not really something I want to bank on when I'm trying to check a Pokemon. I want to have multiple options. I don't need a ton of defensive Pokemon that can wall it necessarily, but I'd like more things that can, like, take a boosted hit with a bit of consistency. Because, the annoying thing, some of our old water checks just aren't that good anymore. We unbanned a good amount of NUBLs, one of them was Goodra, and so like something like Appleton right now, it's probably not bad, per se, but it's a lot worse than it used to be. You also get something, let's say, Lurantis. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm unsure that I see much of a reason to use a Lurantis in this metagame. I mean, we've got some things like Arboliva, which is just better. Speaking of Arboliva, I mean, that is technically a check as well. It's just another one of those instances where I don't feel like having a whole bunch of mons that have to be kept at full, or they are one-shot, is good. Like, the best comparison is, of course, going to be to Blastoise, because Blastoise is a water-type Shell Smash user that people thought lacked sufficient counterplay, and so it was banned. And at least the difference with Stoise, and why I personally never was convinced that Blastoise needed a ban, something like Dreadnaw is, at least in my view, Blastoise needed a good bit more to go right before it could sweep. Yes, it at times just needed to get lucky, and he could, freeze a check if it was like a grass type with a Yachi Berry, or flinch past a bulky water type a couple times. But relying on luck to win these matchups isn't really, like, optimal. You know, it's not a consistent mon. And so, there was a bit more room to beat Blastoise. You had things like Quagsire, like Gastrodon, like Mantine, like even Vaporeon that, you know, could get off that Toxic. And from there, well, you weren't in a terrible spot. I mean, the Mon was still absolutely terrifying to face, do not get me wrong. But there was a bit more room to try and outplay. And something like Dreadnaw, I just don't think has the same amount of room to outplay. Because the Pokemon aren't living hits. They are just not. And so, it feels like more you're just trying to limit it offensively, which is valid. Obviously, offensive counterplay is just as important as defensive counterplay. And the tier didn't lack faster Pokemon. Oh, that misses, unfortunate. The tier didn't lack faster Pokemon than Dreadnought. I mean, there's off the dome, right? Mons that threaten it. Hazel, Croak, Rotom Mow, Electrode, I don't know what to call it, Jolteon. Like, these are all mons that are faster. A lot of them, though, can get messed up by Terra types, especially the electric types, because I'm here to tell you right now. If you're using H-Trode or Rotom Mow specifically, you better be using your Grass move, because that mon could easily be Terra Ground. Because it gets Earthquake. That's the thing, too, right? Croak is an offensive check, but it's not a wall. You just have to be facing Crunch. So, it's not really the best matchup. And so, you've got Terra types that can mess with a lot of your offensive counterplay. And it's just, oh god, it's just so dire. So, I think the Dreadnaw thing was pretty reasonable. Really, the way I view it is this, right? I think you always want to be able to reference counterplay both offensively and defensively when deciding if a Pokemon is too overbearing. Like, offensive Pokemon specifically, right? And so, in the case of something like Dreadnaw, there is offensive counterplay. The mon is slow, relatively speaking, to other offensive Pokemon. And defensively, there's, like, negative counterplay in comparison. Like we talked about earlier, defensively, you've got, like, maybe some Pokemon that take a hit in a pinch, but you better be at full. And offensively, you're just hoping you outspeed, which is fine. Again, pressure it, never let it set up, but it's just, it's not very consistent overall. I think we made the right choice by banning it. Now we go to Inteleon and Toxtricity, and I must talk about, I think, Inteleon first, because it's maybe a bit less clear, although it's also not unclear at all, but maybe it is. So, we did actually, a little weirdly, we had the unban of NUBL after we did our little very quick ban. I will say, the drops really don't change anything when all is said and done, but we had Mr. Inteleon. Oh, that dodge is incredible, thank you. And Inteleon benefits from there being no real bulky water types in you right now. Like, yes, there are bulky water types, but at the same time there aren't. You know what I mean? Because Quillfish does not check Inteleon. That is not a mon that I am relying on to check Inteleon. Yes, I resist water, however, I'm a physical wall. Oh my lord, get absolutely and utterly annihilated. Yeah, I'd forfeit too. But you've got, like, that. Appleton is a Pokemon, but again, Appleton's not really common right now, because the tier is just so different. And of course, Ice Beam would still fold you up like a lawn chair, so it's not even that relevant to begin with, but hey, again, just a mon you could reference. Oh, this thing's about to 6-0 me, what the hell? Where's my counterplay, hello? That's not taking two, I'm here to let you all know that. Yeah, you know what, Giraffe, you can get KO'd. That's fine. This is fine, guys. But yeah, what are the other ones? Like Arboliva? Arboliva is a Hydro Pump check. Just don't get Ice Beamed ever, pretty please. Something like Goodra that is new. I mean, you could talk about it as a check. Again, it's just kind of one of those mons where you don't want to ever get Ice Beamed. I mean, Goodra's gonna take it better, but Specs Inteleon is still two-shotting, so not really good. And then you look towards maybe some of the special walls, because you got things like Cryogonal, Blissey, Articuno. Like, these are still relevant Pokemon. I would say Cryogonal's probably the least relevant of them all now. Articuno, I think, still retains a decent amount of usefulness because of being a pivot. Just makes it a little harder to exploit. But these mods all get U-turned on. And frankly, even just Hydro Pump from like Terra Water Inteleon is doing so much to the non-Blissey ones that I just mentioned. So it's not as if these are like some flawless, just utterly incredible checks. You ain't play rough. You don't have it. He probably doesn't, about to get smashed. But it's a lot of very questionable counterplay defensively. And while it's not like it is absent, Inteleon, if it's going to run specs, it has to make these predictions if it wants to truly get the most out of its kit. I'd say offensively is where you start struggling. Wow, they did nothing. The biggest issue, of course, when you look at offensive counterplay into Inteleon is just how fast it is. Like, even think back to last gen. Salazzle is not even faster than you. There's really not a lot of mons that are. No, he set up a Reflect. If we're thinking about mons that are faster than Inteleon, though, I mean, you've got Jolteon in terms of natural speed, and Hisuian Electrode at natural speed. And it's some Scarfers you could see, maybe like Hisuian Sneasel, Rotom-Mow, of course. Any of the fighting types like Friend Bird, Flamigo, Passimian, even if someone wants to use that right now. Tauros, Paldia. But it's so much less reliable because, again, look at all the ones I mentioned. I have to be Scarf. So you're telling me they mispredict? It's not very good for them because they're choice locked? Yeah. Yeah, I am indeed telling you that. So that's not too good. But I would say that's really the distinction we drew and why we thought it was probably a little too problematic. It's like, you need to get one read right. Oh, come on, don't do this to me. You need to get one read right to just run away with a game. All you really needed was that one Ice Beam versus Hydro Pump turn if they had a bulky grass type. And if they have one of those generic special walls, you just U-turn loop them forever. And it's pretty trivial. I'll just wild charge here. If they go Hypno, I want to get a little bit more Demoglio on it. And then we get to Toxtricity. Now, Toxtricity is a bit of a bastard because compared to Inteleon, it still can pivot, but it also learns the move Drain Punch. So you can run these mixed offensive sets with like Volt Switch, Boom Burst, whatever other move, probably just Overdrive still, frankly, and like Drain Punch. And you just have a move for Blissey and Cryogonal. And of course you still dunk on Articuno anyway, because, shocker, I know, but yes, the Ice Flying loses to the Electric type. And Toxtricity is still just as potent offensively. Like, please, inform me. Who's switching into, bro? This is kind of where you start seeing that distinction of, hey, what's the defensive counterplay? Because there's just not consistent defensive counterplay at all. There is plenty of offensive counterplay. You look at something like Toxtricity, the mana is very slow. Again, relative. It's like that Dreadnaw spot. It's literally like 1 base point higher. You've got plenty of mons that are faster, and you just has a ton of Psychic types right now that can Revenge Kill it. Even something like a Flamigo is faster and one-shots a Brave Bird. Not Brave Bird. Actually, why did I mention Flamigo? That is one of the worst options I could have mentioned. But in terms of offensive counterplay, you would have like Salazzle, for example, as a good revenge killer. If you ran like Earthquake Croak, which doesn't see use much at all, but it is still something you should prep for. That could, of course, deal with it. Something like Goodra is probably like the only defensive mon that was ever going to check it. And Goodra on its own is just not that convincing to me, or really anyone else. Yo, that crit did 5 million. What the hell? Are you banded? Jeez. But you've got something like Scarf Passimian, something like Zoroark, something like Salazzle. Inteleon, technically, when it was around, was an option. I guess I could even say Indeedee because it's here, Meloetta. All these mons are, like, capable of offensively checking Tox. So it's not like it's this mod that was just absolutely dogging the entire tier. Just no matter what. Except, it kind of was when you then take into account that shift gear sets were good. I mean, keep in mind, what was the moveset that I listed for y'all? I said Drain Punch, Overdrive, like Volt Switch, Boom Burst. Yeah, just drop Pivot Move, throw in Shift Gear. And now you can actually boost up. That's so sad. I didn't even realize that was up. That's really funny, though. Oh well. I'm blind. I'm playing this while half asleep, by the way. Please, have some mercy on me. Alright, this thing needs to be paralyzed. That's actually not going to help at all. I'm going to just let my, Sableye go, I think. I don't have much I want to switch in. Yeah, this is actually really sad, though, that I'm going to have to play with the sticky web up. It's actually really sad, damn. But Toxtricity runs Shift Gear, and all your offensive counterplay goes bye-bye. And defensively, we have not gained really anything as a check by dropping Volt Switch. You're still beating down everything that you would need to. You know, just chill. It's just a mon that too easily could adapt whatever it needed to beat. And adapting wasn't really something it had to do much of at all. Damn, the Scyfangs did 0. What the hell? Get him! But yeah, those were our bans. In terms of mons that we freed, I don't have the thread open with me right now. Oh, here's this team. I could like start looking down the list and just pointing them out. If I ever find them. Oh yeah, Grimmsnarl. There's one. Is that the only one up here so far? Yeah, none of y'all were freed. Grimmsnarl got freed. I've seen a couple people say they think it... Oh, Goodra. I'll talk Grimm first anyway. I've seen a couple people think maybe Grimm is still a little strong. Yeah, I'm here to tell you right now I'm switching. And that's mostly because Grimmsnarl has the bulk upsets that are still really, really hard to stop. I do think it helps that we've got a couple more viable Encore users now. Like, we've seen defensive Delphox sets. This is diabolical to have on your team versus mine, by the way. We've seen defensive Delphox sets, though. We've seen even Encore... Well, yeah, Encore on them, I should specify. God, I'm so out of it, I'm sorry, but... Like I said, Encore on Lazzle. Defensive Delphox can run Encore. There's a few more options, and also the power level of the tier is at least a bit higher, which helps. You know, you have ones like Glastrier, which are a lot harder to, you know, get by. Something like Earthworm even is, like, more annoying to get by. And you could get counter-boosted versus, even if it's, like, Iron Defense. Something like Uxie could have Encore. There's more options that are actually, like, anti-setup that aren't super easily bypassed through having... What's it called? Through having, Prankster, and through being a dark type, you know, immune to other Prankster mons. You know, we're actually kind of big chillin' in a way. This game is so sad, by the way. I feel like I've got nothing I can do versus Bozo's team. But I think Grimm should still be better. I like having that parting shot setback, the pivot one. Okay, I'm getting out of this. I don't even care if I could beat this guy. The sticky web's just so hard to deal with. But I think Grimm should be okay now. The screens set might actually be kind of annoying to deal with. Given how many more setup sweepers we have, I feel like there's a world where dual screens Grimm is actually really, really just cringe to try and contend with. But we'll see. I don't think it would break the tier. Goodra comes back as well. Goodra's kind of a weird one for me to look at, because in theory we gained like nothing that checks it. It's just that the tier is stronger as a whole. Like, they're just strong. We have a million physical, like, attackers. And, of course, that's really, really useful. Because, yeah, the Mon is a great special wall, but has, like, 5 special defense. Or, not 5 special defense. Has, like, 5 physical defense. So... Yo, you have this? Wow, that's so cool. That's so quirky. So you got mons like, say... let me think of a mon. You've got, for example... God, why is it so hard? Flamigo, Passimian, Hariyama, Heracross, like all of these Pokemon, they could very, very easily just one-tap a Goodra. And maybe not one-tap it, like, from full, but they are not feeling that pressure from Goodra at all. Which helps out, of course, quite a bit. Because your counterplay's just expanded. Yo, I lived? Damn. Insane. And we even have steel types. Now, they're not the best. Of course, we mentioned Copperajah before. You do get hit by a fire move. Same with Earthworm. And Earthworm's also not exactly the pinnacle of special bulk. It's just kind of nice to have more mons that can switch into a Draco. It also helps, actually, that Umbreon has seen a bit of a resurgence in this meta. Like I talked about earlier, there are a lot more Psychic types in NU right now. We got, Hoopla, Indeedee, and Meloetta, to mention some of them. And Umbreon rises back up, of course, because it's a, sturdy Dark type. I'm gonna press Quiver just in case my bro, has a mental, just, breakdown and forgets to use a move that could KO me. But that also helps give you another mon that can pivot around Goodra. Even just now having Blissey in the tier is pretty huge. The Dunsparce, I guess, technically counts as well. Articuno is a new mon we didn't have back then. Arboliva even is probably bulky enough to take some hits. Although Arboliva kind of just loses to Goodra because you can't strength sap the mon with Sap Zipper. Even we can talk about Assault Vest Hariyama. Assault Vest Meloetta has actually also seen some use because it's really just great at walling every special attacker. Look at that, 100 HP, 128 special defense, and it has U-turn, so you can pivot. It's a really cool set, but it's not the same Goodra from previous NU where they're really just the defensive counterplay to Goodra was Copperajah on the Dracos, and I guess Umbreon and Vaporeon tried pivoting around other moves. I mean, they could switch into a Draco as well, but obviously it's still kind of scary. I will Pyro Ball this Masker in. So yeah, I think Goodra should be pretty okay now, and it's also pretty good just because having this kind of this is a very nice mon to have in a tier. Something that's really good offensively that still gives you a metric, just millions and millions and millions of defensive uses on a team. So, should be a pretty good mon. I think it's less overbearing, like we addressed, for both gaining offensive and defensive counterplay. So now we go down more. Hoopa we unbanned. With Hoopa, it's really this. It just doesn't look that, overbearing in comparison to other mons. Now, that might change when Meloetta... Well, I'll say if Meloetta gets banned. I'm just saying that's my take on it. I think Meloetta's OP. But something like Meloetta just walls you unless you're knockoff. Something like Indeedee even is a decent check. It's just mons that make it so you can't really spam your stabs as well as you'd like. If you're not Psyshock, then things like Goodra and Blissey are gonna wall you forever. So please be Psyshock. I would say the big thing that Hoopa has going for it is our Dark type situation's a little scuffed now. Because, yes, we still have Bombardier and H-Quill in the tier, but are they really that good now? I don't know. I have to get to using them. But I would venture a guess and say, no, the power level's just higher. So, Grimmsnarl is still around, but, Grimm is going to be a bit more easily bypassed. But really, other than Grimm, there's, Umbreon? Umbreon you could Focus Blast and beat down. He just Terra-Fired, and it didn't even one-shot me. Get trolled, liberal. How dare you. But I think Hoopa is a mon that could be very OP with a ban or two. If only because it could show what Hoopa's offensive potential is, but we talked about it with Goodra. Susceptibility to physical attackers. Hoopa, of course, has the same issue. Any dark move or any ghost move will, KO it with ease, so I don't see it as a mon that's inherently too OP, but maybe again the moveset versatility will come back and it's going to be just too strong. Indeedee also freed it because in comparison to all the other mons we have, it's not like this mon looks particularly broken. But also, I mean, look, we've got a lot more special walls than we used to. And if you compare Indeedee from last gen to this gen, I mentioned in our video we did on the 31st, this mon lost a lot of tools. It doesn't have Expanding Force, it doesn't have Mystical Fire. It's just not as good of a Pokemon. And although Terra Blast can at least make up for the coverage issues, it can't make up for just losing the best attacking move that Psychic types have ever had. And so, this kind of brings back to the Hoopa thing too. Assault Vest and Meloetta is really good. Goodra's a great special wall still. We also even have actual Steel types. Copper you know, it's going to be pretty hard for Indeedee to beat without a lot of help from chip damage. Earthworm's a bit different. I would say Earthworm is, like, still a bit weirdly decent. Oh no, I lost timing out. That's really funny. Oh well, I would have smoked that guy anyway. But Earthworm's kind of funny because if Indeedee runs Psyshock, it's a lot harder to wall break through. Like, yeah, you still have H-Voice to hit the special defense, but it's just... you can't use the Psychic Durian boosted move at all, which is really funny. Let's stuff our cheeks real quick. I don't really see Indeedee as a big problem. Maybe, again, maybe competition going bye-bye makes it OP, but who knows. Jolteon's back as well, because frankly, people weren't even, like, all the way convinced that Jolt would be OP back when we did council vote it. It was kind of contentious, even though it really wasn't with a council vote. But it was still a mon that I think the community wasn't sure on. So, you know, it's freed again. Power level's higher. Having Rotom, Mow, and H-Trode around gives it, like, noted competition. Because these are mons that do not have to bust their Terra. Good lord, get fucking pressed. These are mons that don't have to bust their Terra to have that coverage that Jolteon oh so craves. I think it just looks less broken now, frankly. That's really all I can say. That's really all I can say. Is there anything else we unbanned? I believe there is, down at the very bottom. If I skipped over something, by the way, it's legitimately because I'm like, my eyes are barely open right now. Zoroark, right? Yeah, so Zoroark might still be OP, but I also think that's... I mean, really, we didn't get any fairy types. I think we just wanted to give Zoroark a shot in a meta that's more offensive and higher, you know, power level. That might contain Zoroark enough because this mon is a glass cannon, so as the offensive power level of a tier creeps up, those kinds of mons can sometimes struggle, given, well... No! Oh, yo, I stole his Leopard Berry. Get destroyed. Get destroyed. Utterly annihilated. Oh, I was actually going to change my type there, and I just didn't press the button. Well, you know, that do be a darn diddly darn shame, huh? But... oh no, that's not good. Hey, just let me one-shot you with Earthquake, pretty please. No, not this bozo. Stone Edge one-shot. Do it. Get him! Okay. But I think Zoroark looks still really obscene, in large part because Flamigo's so strong. We've mentioned in the past the Simian core was, like, incredible for that mon. But now give it a mon that's literally just better Passimian? Yo! I would've won! Yo, no, watch this though. I'm gonna liquidate him as he Terra Grounds. Come on. Oh, you're a bitch made for that. You are. Ooh. But, yeah. Flamigo's literally just better Zoroark. And we even have, like, other pivots now that are super, super potent too. And although I mean, things like Rotom, Mow, and H-Trode don't really have that same check overlap, it's still just the idea that you can loop people really, 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 really hard with them. So, pretty decent, pretty decent. Yeah, that's it for the unbans. I'm about to get sucker punched. Oh, never mind, I'm not. I get free chip. Not bad. We volt switch here. Don't you dare sucker punch me now. Don't you dare do it. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm gonna go to my Hariyama. Also, yeah, this mon's kind of scary, because it has Belly Drum with Bullet Punch. This mon is kind of scary, guys. So, it's a mon that'll probably be on our radar. And when I say probably, I mean it's like literally already on our radar. I'll Terra normal here as he goes for a Psychic move, fails to KO me, and gets obliterated by my God Knock. I hope y'all are enjoying the tier, though. I will be tomorrow having an upload where we actually get to use new Pokemon. Yo, that crit sucks! Yo, that is doo-doo for me. Yo, that is such doo-doo. What the heck, man? What hey? What's gonna be great is when he brings back this Armor Rouge with the Revival Blessing and it obliterates my soul. I'm gonna love it. I live for it. But I'll have a video out tomorrow. I have some teams from Eternally. Probably gonna use one of them. It's got a Flamingo. It's got a Grimmsnarl. Just overall a dope team. I do want to try out generally like new Pokemon, but I will, of course, be using some of the things that we freed, because, well, why wouldn't I? We freed them for a reason. You know, I'm not freeing Grimstar so I can't use it again, hello? I'm not freeing Goodra so I can't use it again, so I think it'll be fun. I also want to try out some of like the more offbeat sets, like I mentioned, Meloetta with an Assault Vest. Not really something you would think about running, I don't think, with them on, but... You know, it's not like it's a particularly fun-sounding set either, but hey. I'm gonna give it a shot. I hope y'all enjoyed this very, very tired upload that'll be up, you know, hours later than my uploads normally are. I'm gonna get some rest soon. Tomorrow, though, the uploads come back. How they should be. And I'll catch you then. Peace.